Hi folks, this is Rose from Roses Garden, and today we're substituting again for Randy Brown of Thunderhorse Descendant. She is back home, but she just got home last night, so we're going to give her a little time off still. So what we're working on today in our missing link book is the ball of yarn link. Isn't that a cute little thing? So anyway, let's turn down. We'll look at see what we need and everything and get started on this. Okay, so here we have our book with our ball of yarn. And according to our instructions here, we need 18 inches of 20 gauge pure copper wire. These aren't pure copper. This is German style, but it is 20 gauge and it is copper. 3 inches of 18 gauge pure copper wire. Again, not copper wire, but we do have some 18 gauge gold German style. So that's what we're going to use for our wires. Incidentally, if you wish to follow along, this is on page 52 and 53 of our missing link book. For the tools, we'll need chain nose, round nose, stepped pliers or a steel mandrel, flush cutter, and the stuff we are not going to use, liver of sulfur, steel wool, and rotary tumbler, and then finally a ruler. This one is the first one of our pieces that is of moderate difficulty. Anyway, I believe it is. Let us check the back one back here. Yes, this one was easy. So our ball of yarn is a moderate difficulty link. And let's turn over here and get started. On figure 1, it says to form the base link, coil the 20 gauge wire 3 times around the 5mm barrel of the stepped pliers. Trim the short tail of the coil. Okay, so first let's get our wire cut and then we'll do that. So we needed 3 inches of the thicker gauge, the gold, and 18 inches of the 20 gauge. So we'll unspool some of this and see how much we have. Well, there's 12. We need another 6. So probably want to pull it out both sides again. And then we're going to straighten it some. Okay, baby. There's... Come on, behave. Okay, so 12 is here. And then another 6 for 18 inches. That's 18 inches of the 20 gauge. So there's that piece. And we will put our 20 gauge away. Come on, go up there so you're holding that down. There we go. And now we wanted 3 inches of the 18. So let's get our 3 inches out. And that's right about here. So put this away. And this has the little sharp edge of the V on this, so we'll trim that off. Don't need to trim off much. Probably have a little extra. That's good. And then let's get to started with what they want us to do here. Okay, so let's get the book and see what it says to do. Figure 1, to form the base link, coil the 20 gauge wire 3 times around the 5mm barrel of the step pliers and trim the short tail of the coil. Okay, that looks like the bigger size of the middle set of the bell making pliers. So let's get my bell making pliers out and we'll do that. Okay, here they are. It's the bigger size. Whoop. So we want to put that on here and grab it right at the very tip and then wrap it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3 right there. See, we've come all the way around 3 times. We just come and we've met up with where this is at. Okay, it says trim the short tail of the coil. I don't think it needs trim because I started right at the base, so it looks like it's right there at the rounded area. So let's see what the next step is. With chain nose pliers, bend the long tail wire perpendicular to the coil. So in other words, it wants us to bend it up. So let's go ahead and do that. So we grab the little coil right here where it would meet the other side, and we want to bend it up. So let's just bend it up like there. Okay. All right, let's see what our next step is. So step 2 is this. So step 3, hold the coil with chain nose pliers and wrap the tail loosely around the coil 3 times, keeping the wire rounded as you go to form a ball shape. Ugh. Not sure how easy that's going to be when you don't have anything to hold on to really, or to make a round shape with, but let's see what we can do here. This tail is getting in the way. Okay, there's one. Now I'm thinking we want this to go more towards the center. If we can get it to do that. Round it. 1. Oops, we're getting too squared off there, so let's pull that back a little bit. 1. Ugh. I know this says to hold it with your pliers, but I'm thinking, for me anyway, it might be simpler just to use my fingers because I do a lot of wire work with my fingers. So I'm going to take the pliers out and see if it will work easier for me with my fingers. Because this wants to be rounded, so you want to wiggle this around like this, pushing backwards as you go around. Okay, that looks like 2 turns there now, so we have 1 more turn to go. Now see, I think I can get it more round, as they say, with my fingers by just easing it around and keeping it sort of, the wire sort of warm. Wire bends easier when it's warm than when it's cold. So push it there because that wanted to square off some and I don't like that. There we go. And then there's 3 up top, all the way around here. Oops, bending again. And back to the original. So there's 3. And now, because I did do this with my fingers, it's not as tight as it could be, so I'm going to take my pliers now and do a little finagling to pull it in tighter to itself. But yeah, I think it's definitely more rounded than it would have been if I had just used the pliers. So up to you. Try it with pliers, try it with your fingers. I will say I prefer my fingers. Okay, so let's see what our next step is. Okay. Repeat steps 2 and 3 3 times, changing direction before wrapping the wire around the coils to form a ball shape. You know, I think this actually might have been easier with 22 as opposed to 20, but it, you know, it works. So I am going to bring it across just a touch more before I make my bend so that we can go in a slightly different direction here. There, I will make my bend with the pliers, of course. And then instead of going up over this way, I'm going to go over this way. And I may need to hold with my pliers for the first wrap, at least, or at least the start of the first wrap, so that it doesn't come undone too much, because it is trying. Unfortunately, this wire is really getting in the way. So we'll come around now. And now when we get to this side, since these wires are trying to come undone, we're going to need to wrap in a way that it holds them, I think. It's still getting a bend right there, and I don't really care for that. But, so around and around, over, up that way, baby. Some round, around. Okay, that formed a little bit too small, so let's come back out of here. And it also tried to square up, so we want to warm it up with our fingers some and bring it back up here and see if we can go more rounded that time. There we go. And then again, we want to warm it so that it will wrap better. And we're almost to our last little bend here. And here we are where we came down at to start with. Now again, I'm going to take my pliers and tighten these loops up some, maybe even move them up on top a little more, because this one is a little down on this side, as you can see. So we want to see if we can't move it up some. Now, I'm not a fond of mess, and this is sort of messy if you ask me. But, you know, yours don't, you can make yours more messy if you want. Let's see, where do I want to go? I think I want to go over this way now. So we want to bend the wire so it'll go right over the top of right here. So right here. Okay. And then we're going to go and do our next set of loops. I think that's the right amount. If I got an extra one, well, oh, sorry. Okay, now again, we want to warm our wire up so it bends into a circle easier. And like I say, this doesn't work well when you're using pliers to warm your wire up, so I'm always going to use my fingers if I can, just so my wire bends a little better. Okay, come here, you. Okay, now see, it's pulling apart right here where that one bit where it's coming through the bend, and we will come across over the top of that now, and hopefully we can then get it to get more in shape. We're almost to the end here. This needs to go up on the top a bit more, so let's bend that some. And there we are at the top there. So we'll just sort of play with this till we form a better ball. Not too bad though, that one looks a little wonky there. So let's get that straightened. It's where the bend was at. Okay, that's better. Oh, it's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. So let's see what our next step says. Okay, so see how much neater that one looks than mine, though this one over here looks more messy, so I guess whatever. But anyway, trim the tail to 1/8 of an inch and tuck it into the ball of wire with your chain nose pliers. Okay. Look at all this extra wire we had. We didn't need this last 6 inches about. And I know I did all the steps. Ooh, that's 7 inches of wire. So you could probably get away with only like 14 inches of wire instead of the... So we want to cut this to an 1/8. So there's like I say, a ton of extra wire here. So now when I'm tucking, what I try to do is make a little tiny bend at the top of the wire so that it tucks in easier. So like that. Now I just find a spot where I want to tuck it in. And I think right here would be best on the other side of this one loop here. So just now in you go, baby. Turn some so that you're not poking halfway out. Let's see if it went in good. Not great, but not bad. I'm going to turn it some. So we want to turn our loop so it's going this direction. Oop, come on, baby. And now go under. That's better. Okay, so I'd be afraid these ones are going to slide off, but there. I'll probably tighten stuff up a little bit here. Okay. Silly little ball. It is a cute little sucker. But let's go see what our next step is. Okay. Step 6. No more pictures. Make a simple loop, see page 22, on one end of the 18 gauge wire with the round nose pliers. Insert the wire through the center of the ball of wire. Trim the other end of the 18 gauge to 5/8 and form another simple loop. Okay, so we're going to do this, and I am not going to use my round nose pliers for this because, quite frankly, I like a nice consistent loop, and I feel that my bell making pliers, my step bell making pliers, this small mandrel piece here, will make a much better simple loop. So how I make a simple loop is I take it into here, just twist it around, come, see, it just met that wire. I want it to go just a little bit further because it will leave an opening if you don't. So then you put your regular pliers in and give a bend, and here we have a nice, beautiful, simple loop. So now we want to put it through the wire, huh? Okay, so I guess wherever we find a nice hole. Okay, there we go. Okay, then we want to cut it to 5/8 of an inch and form another simple loop. Okay, 5/8 right here. Another time where they told us to cut a lot of wire we didn't really need, because see, there's another 2 inches of wire. So I probably would only cut like 2 inches, and that way you could not use quite so much of your wire up. Okay. Now this simple loop is a little, is not as tight as I would want it, as far as, let's see how much room there is between the two ends. So I think I would make this simple loop even a little closer. And what I do when I have one that I need to make closer, I tend to estimate how much room is extra and then get in here into the loop with my pliers, I should say my cutters, and cut that about that amount off, and then I will turn it again. Reform. Now, I maybe should have used the next size up as far as the loop is concerned, because if you see our loops here, they are wanting to slide into our link because it's got so much wire. But anyway, there we go. There's this side looks much better than this side, but let's see what we got, if there's any more steps. Step 7 is oxidize the link, and we're not going to do that. So I guess we're done. So here is our picture of our ball of yarn, and here is my little ball of yarn link. And yes, they made their loops much bigger on either side, so I guess we could have gotten with bigger. But there we go, one ball of yarn. See, now this side looks really good. This side's a little messy. Still not bad, but messy. I think I'm going to take my nylon jaw pliers and see if I can't squish this down a little so it looks a little more round. Let's see what we get. I may make it worse, you never can tell. Whoop! Don't drop it. Could have been better, but it's not bad. I like this side, like I say, much better than the other side. The other side looks more messy. but there we are, ball of yarn. And I would make bigger loops on the ends like they have here. I, like I say, usually use the smaller size of my bell making pliers. I should have used the next step up. And in fact, they had us cut enough wire. I may just recut that and do that. And let's see what that looks like. So we dug out the little piece, the bigger piece, and I'm going to cut this one loose. Bing. Since we had such an extra amount, and we're going to use the bigger loop to make this next loop, so we can have a bigger loop on this sucker, this baby. So there we go. There's our first loop. Through we go. This is where I went through. I like this spot because it'll hold this up. If I can get it to go in here. Nope, we don't want to go there. Maybe here. That's not bad. That looks sort of center. Though really, this thing isn't centered. It's sort of scooshy. So now we'll cut this side down. And now it doesn't need to be cut that much, just about. That much. Make sure you're heading the same direction, though if you don't, you can always straighten them up. Okay, go around. And straighten. Oh, see, now I've got them going in two different directions. And when that happens, take hold of one and just take your pliers and twist it sideways too. You get them in the same direction. So not hard. And much closer now, as you can see. I still could have tightened them up a little bit because they are a little bit extra, but not nearly as much. So that looks much better now. And there's our ball of yarn link. Okay, this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, substituting for Randy Brown of Thunderhorse Descendant, and we've been working on our missing link book, page 52 and 53, the ball of yarn. As you can see, this is our ball of yarn. It's hard to get it straight so you can see it better. Eek, I don't want to lose it. Don't drop it, Rose. Maybe I'll hold it up with my pliers. That might be easier. So there's our little guy. Let's see if we can get him to focus. And comparison with our one from the book. Mine's brighter, so it's hard to tell how bright it is, but it's not bad. A little messy, but I like it. So anyway, I hope you've liked it and had fun with this video. Hope you have fun learning. Like I said, I use my fingers because it warms the wire and makes it easier to round. But if you want to work with the pliers, as the book states, hey, go for it. That's entirely up to you. But anyway, that was the ball of yarn missing link, and this has been Rose of Rose's Garden for Randy Brown of Thunderhorse Descendant. She should be back next week, even though her family emergency hasn't quite resolved itself. She is back home for a while, and so yeah, I expect her to be doing the next one for you. And if not, I'll see you again. Anyway, again, Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you the next time.